Hello, I am your host, Ethan, and tonight I will guide you gently into a calm and peaceful sleep. Before we begin our journey, allow your body to relax. Slowly, let the events of your day drift away, like mist floating quietly across a mountain valley. Take a slow breath in through your nose and release it softly through your mouth. Again, breathe in slow and breathe out gently. One more deep breath and let it drift away. Now bring your attention to the top of your head. Allow the small muscles of your scalp to relax. Your forehead becoming smooth and calm. Let the space around your eyes soften. Your eyelids growing comfortably heavy. Relax your cheeks, your jaw loosening slightly, your tongue resting gently in your mouth. Now allow that calm feeling to move down your neck, your shoulders slowly releasing any tension they carry today. Feel that relaxation flowing down your arms, into your elbows, your wrists, your hands, and your fingertips. Now bring your awareness to your breathing, your chest rising slowly as you breathe in and falling gently as you breathe out. Your breathing calm, slow, and steady. Allow that peaceful feeling to move into your stomach. Your abdomen soft and relaxed, warm and comfortable. Now, let the calm sensation move into your legs. Your thighs growing heavy, your knees soft, your calves relaxed, all the way down to your ankles, your feet, and your toes. Your entire body now resting quietly, peaceful, still, and comfortable. And as your body continues to rest, your mind can begin to wander to a distant land of mountains, bamboo forests, and quiet temples. Tonight, we travel to the peaceful landscapes of ancient Japan. Imagine a quiet mountain valley, far away from the noise of the modern world, where mist drifts slowly across rice fields and narrow stone paths wind gently between wooden houses. Paper lanterns glow softly outside small homes, their warm light flickering in the evening air. Tall bamboo forests sway quietly in the mountain wind, creating a soft whispering sound like nature breathing slowly. At the edge of this quiet village, hidden among tall cedar trees, stands an ancient temple, its curved wooden roof rising gracefully toward the sky. Stone lanterns line the temple path, their soft golden light illuminating the garden below. This temple has stood peacefully for many generations, watching seasons come and go, watching travelers pass along the mountain road, and listening quietly to the wind moving through the bamboo forest. And each morning, long before the sun rises above the mountains, a deep temple bell echoes across the valley. Gong. The sound moves slowly across the hills, rolling gently over the rooftops of the sleeping village, across the quiet rice fields, and into the surrounding forests. Most villagers remain asleep beneath warm blankets, dreaming peacefully as the night continues. But one young boy wakes immediately when the bell rings. His name is Haru, and his life is only beginning to follow a very special path, the path of discipline, patience, and quiet strength. Haru lives in a small wooden room beside the temple garden, a simple room with a sleeping mat, a wooden window, and a small candle resting on a low table. When the bell sounds in the early morning darkness, Haru slowly opens his eyes. The room is still and silent, the faint blue light of night visible through the window. He sits up quietly, careful not to disturb the peaceful stillness around him. Then he folds his blanket neatly, a small routine he repeats every morning, without hurry, without distraction. Outside, the world remains calm and silent, stars still glowing across the deep sky above the mountains, the cool night air drifting gently through the bamboo forest. Haru steps outside onto the temple path and pauses for a moment, looking upward. Above him, thousands of stars stretch across the quiet sky, brighter than most people in distant cities ever see. The Milky Way flows softly across the heavens, like a pale river of light. This quiet moment before sunrise is Haru's favorite part of the day because the world has not yet begun to hurry. There are no voices, no footsteps, no busy travelers on the road, only the soft sound of the wind moving gently through the bamboo leaves. In the center of the temple garden, an elderly teacher already waits, sitting calmly beside a stone lantern, watching the sky slowly change from deep black to soft morning blue. The old master has lived at this temple for many years, long enough to watch many young students arrive and slowly grow into patient and disciplined adults. He does not greet Haru loudly. Instead, he simply nods, a quiet sign that the day's practice has begun. Beside him rests a simple wooden rake. Haru walks toward calmly, lifting it gently from the ground, because every morning, before the sun rises, Haru performs the same quiet task. He rakes the temple garden. The garden itself is beautifully simple. White sand spreads across the ground, smooth and untouched, like fresh snow beneath the moonlight. Large dark stones rest quietly within the sand, placed carefully many years ago. And along the edges of the garden, tall bamboo trees sway softly in the wind, their leaves whispering gently in the still morning air. Haru lowers the rake slowly into the sand and begins his work, one smooth line drawn carefully across the garden floor, then another line beside it, and another. The patterns begin to spread across the sand, like soft waves moving across a quiet sea. Haru breathes slowly as he works, each movement steady and calm. The garden slowly transforms beneath the rake, lines flowing around the stones, circles forming like ripples in water. But Haru knows something important about this garden. By tomorrow morning, the patterns will disappear. The night wind will move across the sand. Leaves will fall from the trees. Footprints will cross the surface. And the garden will once again appear untouched. Yet every morning, Haru returns and rakes the garden again, because the purpose of the garden is not the pattern in the sand. It is the discipline in the one who creates it. And as the first soft light of sunrise begins to appear above the distant mountains, the quiet lesson of the bamboo temple is only just beginning. The story continues in the next part of our peaceful journey through ancient Japan. For now, allow your breathing to remain slow, your body calm, and your mind drifting gently through the quiet temple gardens. As the soft wind moves through the bamboo forest, and the morning light slowly rises across the mountains of ancient Japan, and our story has only just begun. The first light of morning slowly begins to spread across the mountains. Soft golden sunlight touching the tops of the bamboo trees, the mist rising gently from the valley below, and the quiet temple garden glowing softly in the early dawn. Haru continues moving the wooden rake slowly through the whites, and each movement calm, careful, and steady. The lines in the sand now form long flowing waves, curving around the large dark stones placed throughout the garden, like water flowing around islands in a peaceful sea. The elderly master watches quietly from the edge of the garden, sitting beside the old stone lantern, his eyes calm, patient, observing every movement. For many minutes, neither of them speaks. Only the soft sound of the rake moving across the sand and the gentle whisper of bamboo leaves in the wind. Haru finishes the final line in the far corner of the garden, then carefully lifts the rake and steps back to observe the work he has created. The garden now looks peaceful, balanced, and beautiful. The patterns flow smoothly from one side to the other, like waves traveling across calm water. Haru feels a quiet sense of satisfaction, but as he studies the garden, he notices something near one of the large stones. A small section of sand looks uneven, the lines slightly crooked. Haru hesitates for a moment, then steps forward again and gently fixes the lines with the rake, carefully restoring the smooth pattern. When he finishes, he steps back once more. Now the garden feels complete, balanced again. The old master slowly stands from his seat beside the lantern and walks across the wooden walkway toward the garden, his footsteps soft, barely making a sound on the old temple boards. He stops beside her, looking quietly across the carefully raked sand. For a moment, he says nothing. Then he gently asks a simple question. Haru, tell me, why do you rake the garden? Haru thinks carefully before answering. He has heard the master ask questions like this before, questions that seem simple, but often contain deeper meaning. Finally, he replies softly, I rake the garden so it looks beautiful, master. The old man nods slowly, but his eyes remain thoughtful. And what happens tomorrow morning? He asks calmly. Haru looks down at the garden again. The wind will move the sand. He says quietly, leaves will fall, and the patterns will disappear. The master nods again. Yes, and yet tomorrow morning, you will rake it again. Haru pauses, thinking carefully. Yes, master. The old teacher slowly steps down into the sand garden, walking carefully between the smooth lines Haru has created. He stops beside one of the large stones and gently brushes his hand across the sand, destroying a small part of the pattern. The smooth lines vanish instantly beneath his fingers. Haru watches silently, surprised but calm. The master looks toward him and smiles gently. Does this make you upset? He asks. Haru thinks for a moment, then slowly shakes his head. No, master. Why not? The old man asks. Haru looks across the garden again. Because I can rake it again. The master smiles, a warm, peaceful smile. Good, he says quietly. Then he begins walking slowly through the garden, his robes moving gently in the morning breeze. Haru, he says softly. Many people in the world believe the purpose of their work is the result they create. They believe happiness comes from what remains after the work is finished. But the garden teaches us something different. The master bends slightly, picking up a fallen bamboo leaf from the sand. Look carefully at this garden. He says, the patterns are beautiful, yes, but they will never last. The wind will change them. The seasons will change them. And time will change them. He lets the leaf fall softly back onto the sand. The real purpose of the garden, he continues, is not the pattern. It is the discipline, the patience, and the quiet focus in the person who rakes it. Haru listens carefully, his breathing slow and calm in the cool morning air. The first birds begin to sing softly in the bamboo forest. A warm ray of sunlight now touches the far corner of the garden. The master looks toward the rising sun, then back toward One day, he says quietly, you may build something great, a temple, a bridge, or perhaps you will guide others on their own path. But whatever you create, remember the lesson of the garden, because the world will always change the patterns we make. Storms will come, time will pass, and sometimes our work will disappear, just like the lines in the sand. The master places a gentle hand on Haru's shoulder. But discipline, he says softly, the discipline you build within yourself, that remains forever. Haru looks across the quiet garden again. The flowing lines, the still stones, the bamboo trees swaying gently in the wind. And slowly, he begins to understand. The garden was never about the sand. It was about becoming the kind of person who returns every morning to rake it again. And as the golden sunlight spreads across the temple grounds, the quiet lesson of the Zen garden settles gently into Haru's heart. But this is only the beginning, because the path of discipline in ancient Japan will soon bring Haru an even deeper lesson. A lesson taught not by the garden, but by the strength of the bamboo forest itself. And that lesson begins on the next quiet morning in the mountains of ancient Japan. The morning sun now rises slowly above the distant mountains, soft golden light spreading across the quiet valley, touching the rooftops of the village and the tall bamboo forest surrounding the temple. Haru finishes his morning work in the garden, carefully placing the wooden rake back beside the stone lantern. The sand once again smooth, calm, and peaceful. The old master watches silently, then slowly turns toward the narrow path that leads into the bamboo forest. Haru, he says gently, walk with me. The temple grounds grow quiet again, the birds now singing softly in the trees, the scent of fresh morning air drifting through the valley. Haru follows the master down the narrow stone path, past the temple gate, and into the bamboo forest beyond. Tall green bamboo rises high above them, the long stalks swaying gently in the breeze, their leaves creating a soft, whispering sound, like distant waves moving across the sea. Sunlight filters through the thin leaves above, creating moving patterns of light and shadow along the path. The forest feels peaceful, calm, and very old, as though it has been standing quietly here for centuries. The master walks slowly, his steps steady and relaxed. Haru follows just behind him, listening to the quiet sounds of the forest, the wind, the birds, the soft rustle of bamboo leaves. After a few moments, the master stops beside a clearing in the forest. Several bamboo stalks stand there, tall, smooth, and gently moving with the wind. The master points toward them. Haru, tell me what you see. Haru studies the bamboo carefully, the tall green stalks rising straight toward the sky, their narrow leaves swaying quietly in the morning breeze. They are strong, Haru says. They grow very tall. The master nods slowly, but remains silent, waiting. Haru looks again, watching the bamboo move gently in the wind, and they bend easily, he adds. The master smiles slightly. Yes, they bend. At that moment, a stronger wind moves through the forest. The bamboo stalks sway deeply, bending gracefully toward the ground, their leaves rustling loudly. For a few seconds, then the wind passes, and the bamboo slowly rises again. Standing tall once more, the master looks toward Haru. Did you see that? Haru nods. Yes, master. The wind bent them, but they did not break. The master walks closer to one of the bamboo stalks, placing his hand gently upon it. Many trees in the forest are very strong, he says. The oak tree, the cedar tree. They resist the wind with all their strength. They stand firm and rigid. But during a great storm, those trees often break. He gently pushes the bamboo stalk, watching it bend softly under his hand, then rise again. But bamboo survives the storm because it does not fight the wind. It moves with it. Haru watches the tall stalks carefully, the wind returning again, making them sway back and and forth, like quiet dancers moving in slow motion. Strength is not always what people think. The master continues softly. Many people believe strength means never bending, never changing, never yielding. But that kind of strength can be fragile. The wind grows slightly stronger again, the bamboo bending deeply, then slowly rising once more. True discipline, the master says calmly, is not rigid. It is flexible. It adapts. It learns when to stand firm and when to bend. Haru listens quietly, watching the forest move around him. The sunlight grows brighter now, the air warming gently as the morning continues. A small bird lands briefly on one of the bamboo stalks, the stalk bending slightly under the bird's weight, then rising again as it flies away. The master notices Haru watching this and smiles. Even the smallest things can bend the bamboo, he says, but it always returns to its place. Haru looks thoughtful, his eyes moving slowly across the forest. Master, he says quietly, is discipline like bamboo? The old teacher nods. Yes, very much like bamboo. He begins walking slowly back along the forest path, Haru following beside him. Life will bring many winds, the master continues. Some will be gentle, others will be strong. There will be moments when things do not go as you plan, when your efforts fail, when people doubt you, when storms arrive without warning. And during those moments, rigid people break. They continue walking through the forest, the temple roof now faintly visible through the trees. But disciplined people are different, the master says softly. They bend, they learn, they adapt, and when the storm passes, they rise again. Haru walks quietly beside the master, feeling the wind brush softly across his face, hearing the bamboo whispering around them. The lesson feels simple, but deep, like the quiet garden, like the calm morning air. Discipline is not loud, not dramatic. It grows slowly, like bamboo in the forest, strong, flexible, and patient. They soon reach the edge of the temple grounds again, the stone lanterns waiting silently along the garden path, the sand still smooth and untouched since morning. The master pauses before entering the gate, looking once more toward the bamboo forest. Haru, he says quietly, remember the garden and remember the bamboo. Both will teach you the same truth. Haru bows respectfully, understanding a little more than he did before, and as the wind moves softly through the tall bamboo trees, another quiet lesson settles gently into the morning air, a lesson that will guide Haru on the long path of discipline. But the greatest test of that discipline has not yet arrived, because soon a traveler will appear at the temple gate, and Haru's patience, focus, and strength will face their first real challenge. The afternoon sun now rests high above the quiet valley, warm light spreading across the temple grounds, the white sand of the garden glowing softly beneath the sky, and the tall bamboo forest whispering gently in the wind. Haru spends the rest of the morning completing his daily tasks, sweeping the wooden walkway, carrying fresh water from a stone well, and placing new oil in the temple lanterns. Each movement slow, careful, and deliberate, just as the master has taught him. Because here at the mountain temple, every task is part of the same lesson, the lesson of discipline. As the day grows quieter, the distant road that winds through the valley begins to stir with life. Travelers sometimes pass this way, merchants crossing the mountains, farmers returning to nearby villages, or wandering pilgrims searching for wisdom. But today, One particular traveler slowly approaches the temple gate. Haru notices him first, a lone figure walking up the stone path from the valley, his clothes dusty from a long journey, a wide hat shading his face from the sun, and a wooden walking staff resting across his shoulder. The traveler moves calmly, but his steps show the weight of many miles walked. Haru pauses from his work and watches quietly. The old master also notices the visitor. Though he shows no surprise, he simply pours tea into 2 small cups beside the temple porch and waits. Soon the traveler reaches the temple gate. He stops for a moment, looking at the peaceful garden, the silent bamboo forest, and the quiet temple buildings resting beneath the mountains. Then he bows respectfully before entering. Haru approaches him politely. "Welcome, traveler," he says softly. "You have come far." The man nods slowly, removing his hat. "Yes," he replies calmly. "I have walked many days through these mountains. I hope to find a place of rest." Haru gestures toward the wooden porch where the master waits with tea. "You are welcome here." The traveler walks slowly across the garden path and bows respectfully before the old master. The master returns the bow with a peaceful smile, gesturing toward the cup of tea waiting beside him. The traveler sits, taking the warm cup in his hands, steam rising softly into the afternoon air. For a moment, no one speaks, only the quiet sound of wind moving through the bamboo forest and the distant call of birds across the valley. Finally, the traveler drinks the tea, closing his eyes briefly, as if the warmth brings comfort after his long journey. Then he looks toward the master. "I have heard of this temple," he says. "They say great discipline is taught here, and wisdom." The master smiles gently, but says nothing. The traveler continues. "I have studied many teachers," he says. "I have practiced meditation. I have trained my mind, but I still search for the secret of true discipline." Haru listens quietly from the edge of the porch, curious about the traveler's words. The master lifts the teapot slowly and begins pouring more tea into the traveler's cup. The tea rises steadily, higher and higher, until it reaches the top of the cup. But the master continues pouring. Tea begins to spill over the edge, running across the wooden table, dripping onto the floor below. The traveler quickly pulls back in surprise. "Master," he says, "the cup is already full. No more tea can go inside." The master gently sets the teapot down and looks calmly at the traveler. "Yes," he says softly, "just like your mind." The traveler becomes quiet. Haru watches carefully, understanding slowly, beginning to form in his thoughts. The master continues speaking in a calm voice. "You say you have studied many teachers. You have practiced many ideas, and yet you search for discipline. But your mind is already full." The wind moves softly through the bamboo trees nearby, their leaves whispering quietly. If a cup is full, the master continues, nothing more can enter. Before learning something new, one must first empty the cup. The traveler lowers his eyes, thinking deeply about the words. The long road he has walked, the teachers he has visited, the knowledge he has collected. Perhaps his mind had become like the overflowing cup, full, but unable to receive something new. After a few moments, he bows his head respectfully. "Master," he says quietly, "will you teach me?" The old master looks toward Haru for a moment, then back to the traveler. "The temple teaches many things," he replies gently, "but the first lesson is always the same." He gestures toward the wooden rake resting beside the garden. "Tomorrow morning before sunrise, you will join Haru in the garden. You will rake the sand. The traveler looks slightly surprised. That is all, he asks. The master nods. That is enough. The traveler slowly smiles, understanding beginning to grow. Sometimes the simplest tasks contain the deepest lessons. And so he accepts the master's instruction with a respectful bow. The afternoon light slowly begins to fade, long shadows stretching across the quiet garden. Haru watches the traveler carefully, curious about what tomorrow morning will bring. Because discipline, like the bamboo and like the Zen garden, is not learned in a single moment. It reveals itself slowly through patience, through repetition, and through quiet understanding. And tomorrow morning, when the temple bell echoes once again across the valley, a new lesson will begin for the traveler, for Haru, and for anyone willing to follow the peaceful path of discipline. Night slowly settles across the quiet mountain valley, the sky deepening into a rich shade of blue, stars beginning to appear one by one above the bamboo forest, and the temple lanterns glowing softly beside the garden path. The traveler remains at the temple that evening, sharing a simple meal of rice and warm tea with Haru and the master. No one speaks very much. The peaceful silence of the temple feels comfortable, like a calm river flowing gently through the night. After the meal, the master quietly extinguishes most of the lanterns, leaving only one glowing softly beside the sand garden. Because here, the temple rests early and rises early. Soon the valley grows completely still, the village below falling asleep beneath the mountain shadows, the wind moving gently through the bamboo forest, and above it all, the stars shining quietly across the night sky. Several hours later, long before the sun returns, the deep sound of the temple bell echoes across the valley. Gong. The sound travels through the forest, across the rooftops of the village, and into the quiet fields beyond. Inside the temple, Haru slowly opens his eyes, just as he has done every morning for many seasons. He sits up calmly, folding his blanket neatly, preparing for the new day. In another small room nearby, the traveler wakes as well, the sound of the bell still echoing faintly in his ears. For a moment, he lies quietly, listening to the stillness of the temple. Then he remembers the master's words from the previous afternoon. Tomorrow morning before sunrise, you will rake the sand. Soon both Haru and the traveler step outside into the cool morning air. The sky still dark, the stars shining brightly above the bamboo trees. The garden waits silently, just as it did yesterday, but the sand is no longer smooth. The night wind has moved across it. Leaves have fallen from the trees, and small animal footprints cross the surface. The traveler studies the garden carefully, holding the wooden rake in his hands. Haru stands beside him quietly. For a moment, neither of them moves. Then the traveler begins. He lowers the rake slowly into the sand, drawing the first long line across the garden floor. The sound is soft, gentle, almost like a whisper. He continues working, line after line, trying to create the smooth flowing patterns he saw Haru make yesterday, but his movements are not yet steady. The lines wobble slightly, some areas uneven, others too close together. After several minutes, he steps back and sighs softly. "It is not as beautiful as yours," he says to Haru. Haru looks at the garden, then smiles calmly. "That is all right," he replies. "The garden is patient." The traveler looks at him curiously. "What do you mean?" Haru gestures gently toward the sand. "Tomorrow morning, the wind will erase everything again. So we begin again." The traveler looks down at the rake in his hands, thinking about the long journey that brought him here, all the teachers he visited, all the knowledge he tried to collect. Perhaps he had always searched for something complicated, something hidden, something difficult. But here, the lesson seemed strangely simple. Wake up, do the work, return tomorrow. He begins raking again, this time more slowly. His breathing steady, his movements calmer. The lines in the sand begin to flow more smoothly, curving gently around the large stones, like waves moving through quiet water. The eastern sky slowly begins to glow, a soft silver light appearing beyond the mountains. Birds begin to sing softly in the bamboo forest, welcoming the new day. The master appears silently beside the wooden porch, watching the two figures working in the garden, Haru and the traveler, both moving slowly through the sand, drawing patterns that will soon disappear. After a while, the traveler finishes his work. He steps back, quietly, looking at the garden. It is still imperfect, but something inside him feels different, calmer, lighter. The master walks down into the garden, looking across the sand. Then he turns toward the traveler. "What did you learn?" he asks gently. The traveler thinks carefully before answering. Finally, he smiles. "I learned that discipline is not something you find," he says softly. "It is something you practice." The master nods slowly. Yes. The morning sun now rises above the mountains, golden light touching the bamboo forest, the temple roof, and the quiet sand garden. The wind moves gently through the valley once more, and already a few leaves drift down onto the patterns in the sand. The traveler watches them fall, but this time he does not feel frustration. Instead, he simply picks up the rake again, because now he understands. The garden will change, the wind will come, time will move forward, but discipline, true discipline, is returning each morning and beginning again. And as the sunlight spreads across the peaceful temple grounds, the quiet path of the bamboo, the path of patience, balance, and steady effort continues. And now, as our journey through ancient Japan slowly comes to an end, allow your breathing to become slow and calm once more. The quiet bamboo forest swaying gently in the wind, the temple garden resting peacefully beneath the morning sun, and the soft echo of the bell still drifting across the valley. Let these peaceful images fade gently into your dreams as your mind and body settle deeper into rest, calm, quiet, and at peace. And so, for tonight, our journey through the ancient wisdom of Japan comes to a gentle close, but the path of discipline, like the bamboo forest, will always remain, waiting quietly for those who choose to walk it.